Hello and welcome. This is the IDX Customization for Everyone webinar. My name is Alan, and with me today is Alec. He'll be helping you with questions as we go on. Just want to kind of give a little quick disclaimer here, and that's yes, all of our webinars as we record them will be on the YouTube channel as we finish up here. And the majority of what I'm going to be covering today is some customization that you can do if you're comfortable with CSS. If you're not, I'm still going to ask you might want to reach out to a developer partner or maybe even take some online training courses to learn a little bit more about CSS, JavaScript, things like that. So here's me, my name, the person I am. A few things I wanted to cover today is the element inspector. What is it? How can I open it? What functions does it offer me? Majority of the stuff is going to be, like I said, custom CSS. So if I hop on over to my details page, for example. So this is what people would normally see when viewing my website. To open the element inspector, you can hover over any item on the page, and in Chrome or Edge, Firefox, it's going to be pretty much the same steps. Just right-click, inspect. It might say inspect element, but when you do that, usually you'll get either a pop-up to the side here like this in Chrome, or you can control where it goes. You can dock it to the bottom, for example. And this will allow me to either hover over items down here and find out where they are, as well as what classes are associated with them. So you've got two different things when it comes to CSS. You've got IDs and you have classes. IDs are typically you only want to use them once, and that's just a good practice. Classes are something that you want to reuse and apply to a number of elements. For example, up here you see this text I've added. It says you should only see this if you're logged in. I'm going to show you a quick little trick to hide specific things from showing to your customers or your viewers if they're not in a lead account. So if they're not logged in, maybe I don't want to show them some certain stuff. So if we right-click and inspect that, we can see that this is in my subheader, and the div class is set to show, because I may want to, add some other elements in my wrapper that might use that class, and I might want to hide those if they're not logged in. IDX Broker provides us a way of seeing if someone's logged in with a class as well. And right here under IDX main, you can see IDX not logged in. So if we come in here, we can double click that, and using the keyboard, highlight just that class, for example. Now mind you, I'm not doing any changes in IDX Broker. This is all happening right here within my browser. So over here, you'll see this little plus icon to add a new style rule. This allows you to test your new style before you actually put it in the IDX Broker account. So what I'm going to do is at the end of this, it says div hashtag IDX main. So the hashtag is the ID, but we're going to be using a class. So at the end of that, I'm going to put a period for a class, and I'm going to paste that class for the IDX not logged in. Now, the way cascading style sheets work, or custom CSS like this, is that they're nested rules. And what that means is you want to go for the outer container and then something within that you want to style. So that could be, just within the IDX subheader, or maybe it's everything in IDX main, or anything like that, any kind of div that I want to focus on. So in this case, if I expand upon this and say div.show, because that's the class I want to hide if they're not logged in. So now I can come over here and test out my rule and type in, say for example, display none. As soon as I did that, that text disappeared. So now I know that my rule works, and now I can actually just copy this text right from here and hop over to my middleware account and apply that. So if we go over to Designs, Custom CSS, we're going to hop over, because this is only going to be on my details page. I don't want to affect everything. We can come in here and we can add additional custom CSS And you can see like the rule came over exactly the way I wanted it. So now it's saved, and I'm going to go ahead and close my element inspector and refresh the page. So it's still there. Well, we may have to get a little bit more specific. We may have to use, say, an important tag or something like that. So we can come back and we can add that in here. Exclamation point important says that we really don't want this to show. Come on back and refresh again. All right, it still didn't work. So let's check it out. We can right click and go to inspect. We're looking at the div.show class, and as you can tell, that rule isn't here. And it's because I'm actually nested within two more divs deep. So I'd have to go and say subheader, subheader page, and then specify that class. So we'll just grab that, and we're going to add those extra layers. And I forgot a hashtag there. So now you can see we've got the main tag, IDX not logged in, then the subheader page, and then that div we don't want to show. Do we have a styling issues? It might be that other stuff I have in here. Of course, it never works when you're doing a webinar. I'm just going to take this and go a step further then. We'll go up to the global level. Should work. Yeah, there we go. So now it's gone. And we may not have had to go that specific. We should have been able to do it with what I had before. If I take this out. So we had some conflicting style as well. And sometimes you do just need to reset your customizations and take a look at what's messed up there. So here we are. That simple rule that I had before is working. So now we could actually see if it works without the important tag, because that's ideally what we want to avoid, is using those tags if at all possible, because you may want to override that style later on. So if we save this, refresh again, you can tell there's a lot of back and forth. And that's where this may not be something for you. You may need a developer partner, because this is the kind of stuff that we enjoy doing. We don't mind going back and forth and testing and fixing something. So here we are. We can see the div is in the code, but it's not showing. Because most people, they're not going to be looking at the source code on a page. They're going to be seeing the elements in front of them. So how exactly does this work? Well, let's log in as a lead real quick. Let's log in as this one. Okay, so now I'm logged in. Let's go back to that details page. Now that I'm logged in, that not logged in class is no longer on the page. It's now IDX logged in. So that rule that I wrote doesn't apply, and then the content will display. We can use that for a number of things. If you wanted to hide maybe the photo gallery or something more specific on the page, you could. And you can apply CSS to photo gallery links and things like that with JavaScript, but that's a little bit outside the realm of this webinar. Some of the other things that you may want to do with CSS is change the color of something. So let's take a look at this green bar here for my account, right? If I right click and inspect, we can take a look down here to see where that color is applied. And here it is. It says IDX lead toolbar background color is set to this green. So let's go ahead and add a rule. Again, that's going to take us up here. Notice it got more specific. It said div hashtag, not just the hashtag for the ID. So now, if I wanted to have a different background color, I would just copy that rule that I saw before and say background color. And now I could use hexadecimal for a color. I could say a name, like you see here in the list. We can make this dark red, for example. And as soon as I did that, you saw the change. So you don't really need to know a lot of the hashtag hex codes for color or RGB references. It's a little complicated, and it can get complicated really fast. For example, we can change this and open up that. So let me do that one more time for you. We're going to come back, right click, inspect. Here's our background color. This little red square that shows the color that we chose for dark red, we can actually click that and it's going to open up a color picker. So let's say I wanted to use a specific color off the page, maybe in my logo or off of a specific button, maybe this sky blue. I can hover over anything on the page and select the color that I want. So let's try that sky blue color. As soon as I clicked on it, it updated here because it applied this hex code for the color. If I want the same red in my bar, I can just click that. So now when I come back over here, see, hashtag B40101, for example. And you can use that for a number of elements. And now that I have this, I can just copy that, just like before. And if we come back to the custom CSS section, and we're going to apply that. So now, when I refresh, this rule that's in, you can see it says inspector style sheet, that's going to change, and we'll see that rule actually come from the IDX Broker account itself. So now it says IDX styles. So now we know that the rule is applied and it's not coming from my browser. That's actually coming from something I just set. So CSS can be really powerful. You can modify just about anything you see on the page. You can really take advantage of it. There's a lot of different rules out there. There's different standards. If you're looking for more specific details on what CSS can do for you or what you're trying to do with it, there's plenty of resources online that can train you and teach you how to find this stuff. And a lot of the stuff that you're looking to change is right there in your browser. You can just look at the existing rules that are being used and go, well, what happens if I play around with, say, the line height on here? Well, just using the up arrow on my keyboard, I can increase or decrease that line height, and I can watch the elements move on the page. And if I want to go up at 10 at a time, I can hold shift and increase that. And I can come back. So you can modify and play around with existing rules, and then when you go to make your own rules, you know what you're going to try to adapt or change. Like this margin bottom, maybe I want to have more room at the end of this than what I'm given by default. Maybe I want it to look a little more squared off like the rest of the page. So now a margin bottom of 50, and I can make that change and put it on my account, and all these rules were right here in the browser for me to find. It's just a matter of using the tools that we have available.
We have a question from Louise, who says the details layout on mobile adjusts the images to size, but the slideshow is out of frame. How can I adjust the image display in the details from slideshow to a grid view?
That's a question that you may want to look at maybe a developer partner or kind of isolate a little more. There are some more tools in the element inspector. You can actually preview what it would look like on a mobile device to an extent. It's not going to be a one-to-one match, and that's this little button right here. In Chrome, it allows you to do that. Other element inspectors don't carry that. I think Edge does. Firefox does not, as far as I know. The browsers change all the time, and I spend most of my time in Chrome these days just because of this feature, being able to test mobile responsiveness. And up here, I can actually, from the drop down, say I want to see what this looks like on an iPhone X. And then I can interact with it just like I would on a phone to look at those elements.
Yeah, I would also try your layout. If it's not a mobile first layout, you might want to try mobile first or do something like that. Otherwise, it's not necessarily going to be set up for mobile.
Right. And we can see that too. We can come over here and actually just change our layout to another one. Change our page layout to gallery, for example. And if we come back and refresh this page, we can see what that would look like on a mobile device. And you see like the text starts to overlap, it's not responsive, and that's where you're going to have to identify what exactly needs to be full width. Or for example, this stuff, we came in here and inspected it. We could see that the rules here for this container we might need to adjust and write some of our own. But that's a little bit more advanced than we're going to get into today. But we've got plenty of developer partners out there that do a lot of this stuff either as a piecemeal project. Say you just needed customization for your details page. Some of them will give you a quote. They'll say, hey, it's going to cost about this much, and you can work out that deal with them. And they don't have to necessarily be on your account to do the work for you. Most of them may want you to come to them for support, because customization like this, IDX Broker is not going to be able to provide that support to you for that custom work that's been done or anything like that. So you've given the tools to customize, but if you're not really sure what you're doing or if you need more help with it, that's where our developer partners are the best. They can really stand in the gap for you and bring their knowledge and experience and get you in the direction that you want to go. So if you're looking for something really custom, IDX Broker does allow for that to happen. As you've seen, we can use CSS to change the way the style looks. You can do a lot with CSS. I could change the fonts. I could change the complete layout of the page. I could hide elements. Could really get into it. But when you're getting to that level of customization and that level of detail, you can make some big mistakes, and that's where the developer partner, with their experience, they've done a number of these sites. They know just how far they can push the envelope or where they should avoid pushing. So that's where I would stress it might be a good idea to reach out to one of our developer partners and see what they can do for you.
Andrew has asked how you can disable the mobile JavaScript.
Oh, so like the mobile wrappers?
Yeah.
So, for example, like this, we're seeing it because I have that disabled. So to turn that off, that's going to be in your preferences, global preferences, mobile, and then right here is the use mobile wrappers option. And if that's turned off, then you can use those mobile responsive templates like mobile first and not have that app look that you'll see the majority of the time. So, and I just want to show you where you can actually look at all the developer partners that we have available. If you go to our website, idxbroker.com, and up here you'll see developers and find a developer. And this, I've been showing, a WordPress-based site, but this could be any site. And a lot of our developers work in other platforms, not necessarily WordPress. So if you're more interested, you can expand on this and say, hey, I am actually on custom hosting. What can you do for me? And you can reach out to, Your Site Needs Me or 55 Places, any one of these, and see what they can do for you. Just clicking on one of them is going to take you to their site and get you to where you can find their contact information or reach out to them directly. Switch my layout back to mobile first, because this is the most difficult template, and styling it is not always the easiest thing, as some of you out there may know. So that's why I like to work with the most difficult one, so you can see my struggles as well. So let's go ahead and Remove that one. And you can do customization. Doesn't have to be just custom CSS. Now, like you can use JavaScript or jQuery, and that's yet another topic. We're getting into manipulating the information on the screen, and that's where you really should know that programming language before you get too far into that. Some of the other resources out there, like W3 Schools. This is a great resource if you're looking to learn CSS. You can go to their Learn CSS. They can give you some tutorials, and you can kind of work through their chapters and kind of learn CSS at your own pace as well. I know I was talking at kind of a high level for customization, and for the most part, it's really not too difficult. As you've seen, like I said, everything's in your browser. It's just a matter of reaching it and understanding how you can manipulate it. But there are some more advanced sides to it, and that's where, like I said, you should have a developer partner work on that stuff if you're not comfortable with it. If you're wanting to do that DIY route, you can, and as you can see, I can do it myself. But I've been doing this for a while. I've been with IDX Broker now for 4 years, and CSS is pretty much what I work in anymore when it comes to some of the websites that I have to work on or make adjustments to. So I'm speaking as like a pseudo dev, if you will. I'm not someone who just gets on my website. So you could have there's a various level of skill, I guess I would say.
Andrew is running into some issues with his global wrapper where the links don't work, and it sounds like it might be an absolute link issue.
Yeah, that can you can identify that again with the inspect element tool. So we're not necessarily confined to just CSS. We're using it in this example for CSS, but if you hover over that link and you right click and go to inspect, we can look at the HTML as well. And if we don't have the full URL, that http:// and then our information, then there's a good chance that we're dealing with a relative URL, and that's why that link's not working. To fix that in the wrapper, you would either need to update that on the main website or use a static wrapper and replace those type of links yourself with the fully qualified URL.
Can you tell us once more just how to change the layout?
Sure. So layouts are controlled underneath your designs pages. And there's going to be a whole column for layouts, and there's layouts for just about every page. If we come down to the details page, for example, we can go to edit for that page layout, and we can choose any one of the 9 that are here. So if I switch to dynamic and I refresh, that change will be automatic. So now we're on the dynamic layout. Some of you might be wondering how I got this text in here. That was added within the subheader. So if we went to subheaders here under designs, and we go to pages, then details, you can see how I wrote that. I made a div with a class equals show, and I put that content in there. Now this didn't have to be text. This could have been an image. It could have been a bunch of saved links, price points, or things that I wanted to target to the people who actually signed up for an IDX Broker listing manager account, and I can make that content available to them using the methods that I showed earlier with that not logged in class and using something like this.
We're getting a lot of questions about which layout works best for mobile.
So if we're looking for mobile specific, the best one we have right now is going to be that mobile first page layout. And that's because it was made to be responsive. So all of the CSS to make that template, fit within whatever device is viewing it, it's already written for that one. That's not to say that the other templates couldn't be made responsive, but you've got a lot of work ahead of you to modify the existing CSS rules that we have on those templates to make them responsive.
Is it difficult to customize the URL to be client-specific names, or does it have to say IDX Broker / page name?
So when it comes to the page links, the most we can get is going to be custom subdomain. So we could have, search.mywebsite.com, but they're all going to have either that /IDX slash and then the page name, or a /I for a saved link, /M for a saved map search, that sort of thing. You can change the URLs a little bit, and I can show you that. But a word of warning here is that if you've been indexed and you've got a lot of pages indexed, you may want to refrain from changing some of these links. The most crucial one being the details page, because a lot of those listing pages have already been indexed. But if we go in and we edit the preferences for that page, we can adjust dynamically what that URL is. We can also change it from saying listing to homes or anything we want there. But like it says here, editing the page URL will break all of your leads as saved searches. So if they've saved a property, they've saved a search, they've saved one of your saved links, you have to go through and update every single lead who's done that to use the new URL. So it can be a big hassle if you're doing this and you've had an account for a while. That's where I would give you a pause. You may want to rethink that a little. If you're on a new account and you're just getting things set up, then by all means take advantage of this and adjust it to work for you. You're going to be kind of locked into that IDX details, structure for the beginning part of that, but after that it can be anything you want.
We have a question from Vern about creating a featured open houses page.
Well, actually, that already exists. So if you go to Designs, Pages, right over here, Featured Open Houses, right there. And you just click it, and you've got your page. Now, I don't have any open houses on my account, but it's here for you. And again, if this isn't something that you're super comfortable with when it comes to customization like this, take advantage of our developer partners. There's a bunch there, and they're all ready and willing to help you. Some of them are really great. I should say all of them are really great. I haven't run into too many that have turned down a client that had a request that was just a little bit too much for them. But it all depends on what you're looking to do. I mean, there are some restrictions that we have on our platform. Certain things you just can't do. You can always ask. And there's no shame in asking. Can I do this? Can I hide the data provided by IDX Broker at the bottom of every page? The answer to that is no. We require that as part of our terms of service. Just like that's an example. It's always fair to ask questions to find out just how far you can customize things. And that's where I was saying, our developers can really push that envelope for you and get you the customization you're looking for. Because they know most of these rules, like for that one as an example. And if you're looking for the code example that I used before, feel free to send me an email at help@idxbroker.com just to show you how to use that not logged in thing. I can probably have something I can copy and paste and send you a reply back pretty quick. It's a pretty simple one, and I don't mind sharing something like that. I might even put it on a GitHub or something. Who knows? Well, I've been having a blast. It's been a while since I've been in here. I'm happy to show you this kind of customization. If you've got questions, feel free to reach out to us, help@idxbroker.com. And if you're looking for a developer partner, you can use the short link that you see on the screen right now, that bit.ly/findyourdev, and that's going to take you to that developer partner page that I showed before. Again, my name's Alan, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Did you like what you saw in the last webinar? Well, don't be afraid to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, search for IDX Broker, click on our icon, and then subscribe and click the bell for notifications.